Leanne. Leanne is a practising artist. Can you tell us firstly, Leanne, about your art, and then secondly, what you value about science?
Okay. I am the ring-in in the institution, not having been in one for a long time. The sort of art that I do is very much based in landscape. I've used to consider myself a landscape painter. So I've moved a long way away from that in terms of medium, but in essence I don't think I have, because what I've done is, by going a lot deeper into the knowledge of how natural systems work, I've got a different understanding about the complexity of life. And there's still like these plastic phytoplankton up here are mine. I still consider that to be a landscape painting on a whole lot of levels. It's asking us to look into the landscape and actually be part of it, because we are part of it. I think my involvement in this project has been from meeting Lisa as well. She's the great connector. And also the fact that I'm very keen, and I think I'd moved away from doing what I was considering more sort of pretty pictures that would have been considered more mainstream artwork, into stuff that I needed to be putting more of my own passion and more of my own exploration into climate change on one level, but generally about human impact on the planet. I felt it was very important, and I think an artist's role in this is quite a unique one in a way, in that we can get quite disparate things and bring them together and make a comment on them. And so I am asking people in the work I do, often in quite an abstract manner, but I am still posing the question, why is the inertia there? Why can't we act? Why aren't we doing anything? I feel deeply about this. Is this touching you? I am sort of generally, every time I put something up in a public domain, I'm asking that question. And so I think that the work here, it's been a great opportunity to be around people who are so embedded and passionate about their work. Without knowing it, they are such creative creatures. In that, I think to be part of that creative process, you actually have to disengage yourself in a way from knowledge. And I think you'd probably all disagree that you do that. But every single time you come up against something and it doesn't work, you have to sort of go, well, what is that new piece of knowledge that's out there that I can find? And it's not necessarily a law that's associated with that exists as a fact now. It's you're making a leap to find a new way of doing things. And that is the great creative act. And I think we all do that every day in lots of different ways that we maybe don't acknowledge. I think some of the things that Jonathan and Sally said as well about where we put value, I think that's one of the great things that art can do. It can actually put up an idea of questioning where we ascribe our value, because if we only ascribe value to money and profits, that's really what we're going to get back, and it's not going to do the thing. It's about connecting with nature, and if we say we actually value nature above other things, if we value it above money, I'm a living example of that. I don't make any money from my art. I'm a total volunteer. I have another job, So, yeah, I think it is about following passion, and the more that we feel that we have a freedom to do that, I think it's really important.
Leanne, what was it for you that shifted your art from being landscape painting to doing these phytoplanktons with a connection to climate change? What was the tipping point for you?
Well, it was being exposed to a particular piece of scientific research by a woman at the CSIRO whose name is Dr. Denise Hardesty. And I saw something on telly, I think it was on Catalyst, so just the great public input. And I was horrified to my core that the plastic that we use and the way it is embedding in the landscape is actually affecting the creatures that we believe to be the most pure and free and far away from human impact. And these were shearwaters. So these wonderful pelagic birds, and, you know, in the back of our head we have that this is the purest, most, I don't know, it's the furthest away from us. And yet they're so affected and they're dying and they're, you know, and so then I started looking at plastics. And then, you know, so it's, for me, it's making wonderful subjective leaps. I can go, oh, and this connects to that, and then it connects to that. And then, look, there's these phytoplankton that are travelling around on plastic bottles. And so for this work in particular, I was looking at how they become biohazards in other locations. They're hitchhikers. But beyond that, then I'm really interested in the fact that they're actually eating the plastic in a way. You know, is it going into their system? Is it actually going to then affect the food chain? And yeah, so just by sitting next to scientists, I'm osmosis. I just pick stuff up. It's great, and then I can sort of put it out there. And if I'm accessing a different audience from what you are, because I think some, you know, like one of the things I think is that a lot of scientific data is embedded away from the general public. And, you know, fine art is as well, unfortunately. But, you know, if I can break a few of those barriers down, then I'm, you know, doing something that's maybe useful. I don't know. And it gives me purpose. That's great.
Great, thank you. The question that I had in my mind when listening to Leanne was, what is it in Leanne that triggered that horror that she had just from that TV or hearing about that research that triggered her into action? There's something within you that made you switch over like that a lot of other people don't. Our science doesn't reach people in that way, or our education or our artworks or what's displayed in the media. It doesn't flip that switch for many people.